say what this poor guy had done, if anything, but there's a time and a place.
Arrests happening at busy restaurants and outside of schools. Tonight, we're getting details on new immigration raids unfolding across the West. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Today, California Governor Gavin Newsom blasted President Trump, calling the administration's show of force with these raids a sign of weakness. We begin tonight's coverage of the president's immigration crackdown with Fox 11's Gina Silva in L.A. County, where the governor toured communities directly affected by these operations.
End this theater once and for all. This cruelty. It's about terrorizing communities. It's about appearing tough. I've said it and I'll repeat it. Weakness masquerading as strength.
Standing outside Downey Memorial Christian Church.
I do not have to listen to you. This is the property of the church.
The same location where ICE agents arrested a man just over a month ago. Governor Newsom said it's time for National Guard members to return to their duties and to their lives.
The folks that were taken and brought into armories, waiting for a mission assignment, are summer school teachers, our paramedics, our firefighters, our police officers.
Newsom accuses the Trump administration of wasting hundreds of millions of dollars by mobilizing National Guard troops when they weren't needed.
Look, you recall we had close to 1,600 officers at certain points at the peak of what was going on in a couple square blocks or a couple blocks in Los Angeles. CHP officers and LAPD were protecting the National Guard. To your question, not the other way around. That's how absurd this whole thing has become.
Despite his strong opposition, Governor Newsom says he fully expects the Trump administration to continue deploying the National Guard to other U.S. cities.
You think this is about California, you are fooling yourself. These are operations you're going to see all across the United States of America. They've tested the boundaries of the law, they've tested the boundaries of public perception and what the public will accept, and they're going to export, including potentially members of our own state National Guard, to other states.
And that was Fox 11's Gina Silva reporting tonight from Southern California. More than 24 people are in custody after federal agents raided several popular restaurants in Arizona. The Alpine County Sheriff's Office says those raids unfolded yesterday at several Colt Grill locations. More than 20 immigration-related arrests were made. Authorities also say 4 people suspected of money laundering were taken into custody. Investigators say those raids were carried out after a years-long federal investigation. The Colt Grill restaurants are in Cottonwood, Prescott Valley, and Sedona. Also tonight, we are learning about the detention of a man that happened as he dropped off his son at preschool in Oregon. Fox 12's Carly Olson spoke with someone who witnessed that arrest.
We learned from ICE officials on Wednesday that on Tuesday morning they arrested 38-year-old Mahdi Khanbabazadeh of Iran. And I spoke to a witness who says that he was horrified by what he saw, and there were toddler-aged children who were present at the time.
You don't think it's going to happen here, but it does.
Randy Cornfield was dropping off his 4-year-old grandson at Guidepost Montessori School Tuesday morning when a confusing scene unfolded. He said people in police vests stepped out of unmarked vehicles.
Things were obviously escalating. I was trying to get my grandson, out of the earshot of whatever was happening. The police were leaving with one of the dads who they were laying in wait for, obviously. They were very cold and uncaring, whatever they were doing.
Cornfield didn't learn until that afternoon that it was not police, but Immigration and Customs Enforcement. ICE officials say Khanbabazadeh had entered the U.S. legally, but overstayed the terms of his visa. That's why on Tuesday morning, they attempted to arrest him at a traffic stop. But he asked to drop off his child at daycare first. They say they followed him to the parking lot of Guidepost Montessori School, where he refused to exit his car, and ICE officers broke his window to arrest him. ICE says the child was unharmed. The school sent us a statement, which read in part, "We are deeply disturbed by what took place in our South Beaverton school parking lot yesterday. Our first priority is the safety and emotional well-being of the children in our care. We are actively supporting the affected child and family, and we are providing our staff and families with resources to help them process this event with care and sensitivity. Cornfield says seeing it firsthand left him shaken, and he worries for the children who had to watch it as well.
It's just not right. I mean, I can't say what this poor guy had done, if anything, but there's a time and a place. These are ordinary people leading ordinary lives and working hard with children that they're striving to take care of, and they're being punished for it.
An ICE spokesperson tells us that Khan Babazadeh will remain in their custody while they process his removal. Reporting in Beaverton, Carly Olson, Fox 12 Oregon.
Some Southern California farm workers say they're on strike through this Friday in response to last week's ICE raids that left one farm worker dead. This strike was not organized by unions, but by the workers themselves. They're hoping it brings attention to the essential role they play in putting food on tables across the country. Advocates say they're pushing for an end to ICE raids and for increased paths to citizenship. And they're also calling for a boycott of companies that have supported President Trump's immigration policies. A U.S. Army veteran who says he was arrested during a raid on the Glass House Farm in Camarillo, California last week is now speaking out. 25-year-old George Redis says he was going to work as a security guard at the farm when he was caught up in the ICE operation last Thursday. He says he was pepper sprayed and tear gassed, had his car window smashed, and was dragged out of the vehicle at gunpoint. Redis says although he identified himself as a U.S. citizen, he was held in federal custody in downtown L.A. for 3 days.
They didn't allow me to shower. They didn't give me a phone call. They didn't let me speak to an attorney. They never told me what I was arrested for.
Redis says he was released on Sunday and not charged with any crime. He is planning to file a lawsuit. In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said, quote, the U.S. Attorney's Office is currently reviewing his case to determine whether federal charges are appropriate. A strong earthquake off the coast of Alaska today triggered a tsunami warning for communities along a 700-mile stretch of that state. The 7.3 magnitude quake hit at about 12:30 this afternoon south of Sand Point. People as far away as Anchorage say they felt the shaking. A tsunami that was just 3 inches high was recorded in this area. The tsunami warning was canceled about 2 hours later. There are no reports tonight of any significant damage from the earthquake or that small tsunami. We turn now to the wildfires continuing to burn all across the West, and a state of emergency is now in effect in Oregon. Governor Tina Kotek says she declared an emergency today to mobilize additional resources to respond to several fires. The largest fire in Oregon is burning northeast of Bend tonight. It's called the Cram Fire. It's burned more than 64,000 acres of rugged terrain since it started Sunday, and there's no containment on this fire tonight. Investigators do believe the fire was human-caused. One firefighter has been injured working on a wildfire in Utah. Authorities say the firefighter fell while battling the Forsyth fire this week. They were airlifted to a nearby hospital, and they're expected to make a full recovery. A lightning strike started the Forsyth fire back on June 19th. It's now grown to more than 15,000 acres, burning through the Dixie National Forest near the Utah-Arizona state line. Containment on this fire is up to 81%. Tonight, satellites are picking up images of wildfire smoke from western states. Images posted online show the smoke drifting east over parts of Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri. Some of it is coming from Colorado's South Rim Fire, which is burning west of Colorado Springs in the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. Park officials there have canceled camping for the rest of the year because of the fire. They say 85% of the park's South Rim has been affected. It was a lightning strike that started this fire last week. It has now grown to more than 4,000 acres with no containment tonight. Firefighters are urging people across the West to assess their home's wildfire risk. Fox 13's Frankie Thompson talked with a Washington man who turned to a specialist for some tips on how to protect his home.
There's a reason people live amongst the trees in East King County. It's peaceful, but as lush as the area is, the hot and dry weather conditions increase the threat of wildfires, putting properties and neighbors like Eric Opsvig at greater risk.
What I can do better to try to prevent any fires from happening in my yard.
To find a solution, he called Kat Robinson.
So that's where I like to start, is just to ask you a question about evacuation. What's your plan?
Robinson is the wildfire mitigation specialist for Eastside Fire and Rescue.
Just make a note about the doormat and move on.
She travels door to door, assessing homes and gives recommendations on how to protect properties from catching fire.
They think my home will burn because this raging fire will just come through and consume my home. But that's very uncommon. It's not the common way that homes burn in a wildfire. Most homes burn in a wildfire because embers from that fire, which could be miles away, landed on and around their home.
While OpsVic says he called Robinson for a specific concern.
Oh, there's your dead tree.
That is my dead tree.
Robinson says the dead tree is only a small part of the vulnerable spots on his property.
So that's what I'm going to pick on later, is all of this nice
bark.
Nice bark.
From the foundation to the roof, Robinson takes a closer look at the home itself and what's immediately surrounding it that could potentially fuel the flames.
And we want that to have as little flammability as possible. So just looking right over here, there's an arborvitae that you can see has a lot of dry debris in it. There's landscape bark. So those are flammable items and they're easily ignitable by embers.
Robinson started this service to not only educate the community, but also to empower them.
But we have a solution for that.
Because with weather conditions threatening the peace within the trees, it's best to be prepared.
See, look, one of my mitigation measures is replace plastic skylights with tempered glass.
There you go.
So there you go.
Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, we have new details that are emerging now about the killings of an American Idol supervisor and her husband in L.A. Tonight, the key piece of evidence that may have led investigators right to their suspect. Also, a new law in Utah blocking certain land deals. How supporters of the measure say this will protect people from hostile foreign governments.
And in weather, here's our live camera in Southern California. LAX, a current temperature in the lower 70s. We'll update the West Coast Wrap forecast after the break.
We have an update tonight on the murders of an American Idol music supervisor and her husband in Los Angeles. We're learning more now about how police tracked down the suspected killer in this case. TMZ reports investigators found fingerprints at the crime scene that matched a man who'd been arrested several times before. Police believe the suspect broke into the couple's home last Thursday while they were out. When they returned, authorities say there was a confrontation and the suspect shot them both. The victims weren't discovered until Monday when police did a welfare check at the home. Robin Kay spent 15 years working on American Idol, and her husband, Thomas DeLuca, was a musician.
People that we've spoken to in the neighborhood, around the neighborhood where the suspect lives, says that he apparently has some mental health issues and that there's been bizarre behavior that other neighbors have witnessed. He lives about a 10-minute drive away from where Robin and Thomas lived. So this has really rattled their neighborhood as well.
Authorities have identified the suspect as 22-year-old Raymond Boudarian. Police say there doesn't appear to have been any connection between him and the victims. 3 people on that Alaska Airlines flight that experienced a door plug blowout over Oregon have now settled a lawsuit that was seeking $1 billion. The passengers sued Alaska Airlines and Boeing. The terms of the settlement will not be disclosed as part of the agreement. Alaska Airlines says it will not be commenting on the litigation. We have asked Boeing for a comment, and we are still waiting to hear a response. Let's turn now to talk about our weather here in the West, and people across western Washington are experiencing some of the warmest temperatures they've felt so far this year. This is a live look tonight at downtown Seattle, where a heat advisory is in effect. For more, let's bring in KTVU's chief meteorologist, Mark Tamayo. Mark, you're tracking the soaring temperatures across some parts of the West and the forecast for the rest of the West.
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, as you mentioned, some real intense heat up in the Pacific Northwest. Seattle today, a high today of 94 degrees, and the heat advisory continues. So as you can see, it's kind of getting close to the record of 98 degrees set back on this day in 1979. The average high way down there, only 78 degrees. So those, at least today's 94, well up above the average. Here you can see the heat advisory in place for all these areas, including Portland, up towards Seattle. It's in place until 5 p.m. on Thursday. Temperatures could be in the 80s to the lower 90s, although the forecast tomorrow is a bit cooler. Right now, we have 93 in Phoenix. Look at this, 93 in Phoenix. Compare that to 95 in Portland. So Portland is warmer right now. San Francisco, 64. Los Angeles checking in the upper 60s. Here's our live camera, not our live camera, this was the scene today in San Francisco, showing you some sunshine over downtown San Francisco, mid-60s, and then out toward the Phoenix area, some high cloud cover showing up in this picture, and temperatures actually below 100 degrees, 97 degrees for an afternoon high today. And as we do check out the overall picture here on the satellite, you can see the low clouds and fog near the California coastline. Looks like once again we have some thunderstorm activity, as you can pick out from parts of Arizona, parts of into portions of Utah and into the Rockies here. So Denver could have some more thunderstorms in their forecast for tomorrow. So here is the plan. The heat advisory continues up in the Seattle area, some fog for San Francisco, a warm forecast for Los Angeles, and then temperatures heating up in the Phoenix region and tracking those thunderstorms once again, as you can see, lifting out to the north into northern Arizona for tomorrow. And then out toward the Denver area, those thunderstorms could be picking up once again into the afternoon. Showing you this, the forecast across parts of the west. There you can see Olympia and Washington, 87 degrees. San Jose in the Bay Area, upper 70s. Palmdale in Southern California, mid-90s. And Scottsdale, Arizona, 100 degrees. So here's the forecast over the next few days. It does include a cooling trend for Seattle. Temperatures back down to the 70s. San Francisco, the fog in the morning becoming partly cloudy. Los Angeles close to 80 degrees. And then you can see some triple digits making a comeback eventually in Phoenix Friday and into Saturday. But still interesting a pattern today. Some areas up north, warmer than portions of the typical hot spots in Arizona. Kind of an interesting reversal with the pattern today, Alex.
Yeah, really unusual to see that.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, thank you. Lawmakers in Utah have taken steps to keep what they view as hostile foreign governments from buying property in that state. Fox 13's Ben Winslow shows us what may block future land deals.
Governor Spencer Cox and members of the Utah legislature are talking tough about China.
Their proposed investment in Utah was millions of dollars and hundreds of jobs, and I don't care. We are not for sale.
I'm Ben Winslow in Palmyra. Here on this farm, the governor held a news conference where he expressed support for new laws that block hostile foreign governments from purchasing land here in Utah.
Something that we need to protect our land and keep it for growing crops.
Susan Sorensen is part of a fifth-generation farming family. She hosted Governor Spencer Cox and members of the Utah legislature on Tuesday, where he accused the Chinese government and proxy companies of trying to purchase farmland in Utah.
We will not allow adversarial foreign entities to buy up strategic land in our state.
Recently, a sale near the Provo airport was blocked by a new state law banning some nations considered adversarial to the U.S. from owning land in Utah. It was a company that makes airplanes and drones, the governor says, with links to the Chinese government.
Not only is it working, it's the only place where it's working right now. We are the first state to do this.
Representative Candace Perucci sponsored that law.
It's exciting to see that we stopped a transaction from happening right by the Provo airport, and that's a direct result of the law.
Utah's laws don't stop there. They require restricted nations that do own land to sell it. The state estimates 35,000 acres of farmland was owned by the Chinese government or proxy companies, and most of it has now been divested. The Utah legislature also has passed laws blocking land purchases near military installations, even blocking food delivery services from sensitive sites in the name of national security.
Utah sits at the nexus of national security with all of the entities that we have, the Proving Ground, 19th Special Forces Group, 47G, we've got the 300th Intel unit here, NSA Utah, Hill Air Force Base. So there's all this critical military infrastructure here, and we're a very welcoming people here in Utah. And so it makes it really ripe for foreign influence to try and come into this area.
But Utah also engages in trade with nations like China. So will this impact that? The governor had this to say.
My message is we want to be partners with you, but until you start acting the way that allies and friends should act, that's an impossibility. Again, the impetus is on them. The weight is on them to change the way they're doing business.
While the governor and the legislature are very happy with how these laws have worked, they're not done yet. Representative Perucci tells me she's planning even more legislation.
Obviously, water is a critical resource, and so that's something we're going to be doing an assessment on the vulnerabilities that we have in our water system.
In Palmyra, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, imagine seeing a big rig with no driver in the lane next to you. The California company working to make that a reality. A California company believes going autonomous can help to ease the country's shortage of truck drivers. Fox's Sunny Sai got a look at the driverless big rigs in action.
Gaddic's headquarters, workers build self-driving trucks to deliver all kinds of products. The American Trucking Association tells me some of the biggest causes of the trucking shortage are people aging out of the workforce and difficulties finding qualified drivers. Instead of addressing these issues, Gaddic is simply removing the driver from the equation.
That's where autonomy comes in. So automation is the only long-term viable option, and this is the need that Gaddic is addressing.
Autonomous vehicle company Gaddic currently has more than 100 self-driving trucks on the road, with most of them in Texas and Arkansas. And that's just the beginning.
We're talking about deploying hundreds and then eventually thousands of trucks for some of the largest private fleets in the world.
Gaddic wants their trucks to save people time and money.
We are enabling our customers, which are some of the largest retailers, grocers, to move goods more frequently and without the additional cost, right? We don't want our customers to pass on the cost of transportation to their consumers.
But safety comes first, especially when there's no one behind the wheel.
There's a fundamental trade-off between safety and efficiency. And getting that balance right is actually super tricky. You don't want to be doing this on the road. You want to, as much as possible, figure out this appropriate balance in simulation.
Stanford aeronautic professor Michael Kokendorfer says autonomous vehicle companies need to take baby steps, starting with limited deployments to ensure safety.
I don't think it's ever possible to build a completely safe system because there are always completely unexpected events. But I do believe that there's a lot of opportunity to drive much safer than human drivers.
The American Trucking Association says they don't see autonomous vehicles as a replacement to truckers. Instead, they see them as a way to help out the industry where they are needed most. In Mountain View, California, Sunny Sai, Fox News.
Finally tonight, a water rescue caught on camera after a van rolled down an embankment into the Snake River in Idaho. A family of 6 from Utah was trapped inside that van as it filled up with water. When search and rescue crews got to this scene, they found the van stuck on some rocks. 4 children and their parents were struggling to keep their heads above water.
I had to break out the back window, and that's how they got the kids out. They all grabbed some life jackets and put on all of them, and then kind of walked them along the rope, carrying the children.
Thankfully, everyone is okay tonight. One of the rescuers checked in with the family the next day. They said they are still shaken, but they are very grateful to the first responders who helped them. Great work by those crews. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. And a quick reminder before we head out, you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering across the West Coast at our website, westcoastwrap.com. Have a great night.